it's hard for someone who is starting later in life to discover that imagination and those new techniques?
Well, everything's hard. You know, if you had the best teachers from when you were 5 years old, let's look at the question this way. If starting at 5 years of age, you had the most important and phenomenal teachers in the world teaching you how to play the violin, there's no guarantee you'd be a talented violinist. Conversely, if you start at 14 years old, there's every hope that you can make a living playing the violin. As you get older, your imagination will get smaller. Ask someone who's 5 years old to dance, they'll dance. You know, you have a little cousin, dance. Oh, come on. Ask somebody who's 50 years old to dance, or even 15. No way. Right? So this is what I write. So, you know, playing the violin has as much to do with imagination as it has to do with playing the violin. Anybody can do a scale. Now do that scale with your imagination. So, you know, when you start to say to yourself, everything I do is going to be a creative act. And when you start to understand that playing the violin has as much to do with theater as it has to do with music. Music education is consumed with the notion of you have to do this in order to do that. So you have to have this skill set in order to play this music. That is not true. What audiences, I think, want, they want something original. Who cares if Willie Nelson can sing in key or not? They want that timbre, they want that vibrato. They want something personal. As Alice Walker said, can you sit on the fence and hold your own hand? And what she's getting at is this notion of, are you going to follow or are you going to trust yourself and in some ways lead? Really dig deep inside and pull out of yourself something that is completely original, that the world has never heard before, that the world doesn't even know it needs. I can't play particularly fast or slow or even sometimes in tune, but I know what I'm saying, and I know what I'm saying is very clear and it's from somewhere very deep inside. The more, especially as a 14 or 15-year-old musician, a late starter, the more you can get close to the fact that audiences want to see you, what you have to say, what you have to do. Maybe you need to pull from multiple disciplines and make it, you know, a friend of mine says, man, if you could learn to rap and play the violin, you could rule the world. You know? And
I was going to start working on it.
I should. Man, I could beatbox and play the violin, you know. But what we're getting at is this notion of what the world needs. I don't know if the world needs another great violinist. But maybe the world needs somebody who can tell a story and play the violin. You know, the list goes on and on. I think life is a series of decisions, choices, and consequences. So you decide, okay, I want to be successful. I want to make my living as a musician. I've decided to play the violin or an instrument late in life. And then you make a choice. Well, now I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose a certain life. I'm going to choose the life of a musician, and I'm going to choose this instrument and this teacher, and nothing's ever going to be perfect, you know. This isn't a particularly expensive violin, but it was a gift, and I got this gift 28 years ago. So now I've been playing an instrument for 28 years that really has a big sound because it's been played for 28 years, right? So, you know, you make choices, but then there will be consequences, you know. You're not always going to have a lot of money. You leave friends and family and all those things that are familiar. My advice is to first decide, make that decision. That's more than a leap of faith. That's a courageous act. I am going to become a professional musician. Be damned. So I think you have to constantly struggle with the decisions and the choices and the consequences, the ramifications of those things. But if you persevere, you know, the Chinese say, if you tap your head against a wall, over time you'll break through any wall. I think, especially if you're 14 or 15 or 80 years old, whatever it is, the greatest strength you can have is the strength of your convictions, the strength and the confidence in the choices and the decisions that you make. And in some ways, you have to not listen to the people around you, and you have a tunnel vision, and it's a perfect line to the goal. There is no something to fall back on. One of the great things about black music is in some ways black enterprise. You know, I didn't want to just become a violinist. I wanted to start my own production company. Why? Because Jay-Z did. Because P. Diddy did. Because Duke Ellington had his own publishing company. You will have professors who will say to you, look, all you have to do is go in the practice room, go in the classroom, learn and perfect your art, and everything else will take care of itself. That's not necessarily true. And one of the great lessons of black music is ownership, is entrepreneurship, is enterprise, right? It's not enough just to be a great musician. You've got to take care of your business as well. And that is a great American idea, you know? They're not opposed. The idea of being a great artist and a great businessman are not opposed. Ready?